One kiss, and I'll let you live. The blade pressed cold against Grace Adeyemi's throat, rain hammering the soul alley like bullets. The man holding her, sharp jaw, eyes dark as wet asphalt, leaned close enough that she could smell expensive cologne mixed with gunpowder. You're insane, Grace spat, her back scraping against brick. Practical. Ji-hoon Park's lips curved. The scroll you touched belongs to my family. Now you do too. Thunder cracked overhead. Before Grace could scream, he kissed her, brutal, claiming. Her split lip burned. Blood mingled with rain, copper, and salt, and then her vision exploded white. A temple, candles guttering, Ji-hoon on his knees, hands clutching his stomach. Blood pooling black beneath him. A dragon tattoo writhing across his skin like it was trying to escape. 3 days from now. Grace gasped, shoving him back. I just saw you die. Ji-hoon's expression flickered. Surprise, then something colder. He lowered the blade. Explain. Now. Her hands shook as she pressed them against the wall. Temple. You were bleeding out. Your tattoo was moving. 3 days. Impossible. But his jaw tightened. No one sees the dragon except. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. We need to move. Ji-hoon grabbed her wrist, pulling her toward a black Mercedes idling at the alley's mouth. Grace yanked back. I'm not going anywhere with you, you psychopath. Then the Moon Serpent clan finds you first. He gestured to shadows shifting at the alley's far end. They won't kiss you, Ms. Adeyemi. They'll carve that vision from your skull while you're still breathing. The shadows resolved into shapes. 3 men, machetes glinting. Grace ran. 20 minutes earlier, Grace had been authenticating a Josian-era scroll at an underground auction in Itaewon. The venue, an abandoned restaurant basement, reeked of mold and desperation. 50 buyers packed the space, most wearing masks, all carrying enough cash to destabilize currencies. The scroll depicted a dragon devouring its own tail, surrounded by Hangul script Grace's trained eye recognized as a protection curse. Except the grammar was wrong. Inverted. This wasn't protection, it was a binding. Lot 47, the auctioneer announced. Opening bid, 50 million won. Grace's phone buzzed. Her contact, Min Young, a curator at the National Museum. Get out. That scroll is Park family property. Stolen last week. They're coming. The first gunshot shattered the overhead light. Chaos erupted. Buyers diving for cover, the auctioneer scrambling for the exit. Grace snatched the scroll from its display case and bolted for the kitchen. Behind her, 2 rival groups opened fire, muzzle flashes strobing the darkness. She burst into the alley, rain immediately soaking through her blazer. Footsteps pounded behind her. That's when Ji-hoon appeared, stepping from a doorway like he'd been waiting. One fluid motion, he shot the man chasing Grace, then turned the gun on her. The scroll. Or, I let the next wave kill you. Grace had handed it over. Then he pushed her against the wall, and everything became teeth and visions and blood. Now, in the Mercedes, Grace sat rigid as Ji-hoon's driver navigated Seoul's wet streets. 2 bodyguards flanked her in the back seat, their silence heavy as concrete. Before I tell you what happened, Grace said, voice steadier than she felt. Where are we going? Somewhere you'll answer my questions. Ji-hoon sat in the passenger seat, scrolling through his phone. And if you're smart, you'll tell me where you're really from. Nigeria. Lagos. Moved to Seoul 8 months ago for museum work. She crossed her arms. Now your turn. What's the curse? He glanced back, expression unreadable. Subscribe to Staying Alive, Ms. Adeyemi. Comment if you value your heart remaining inside your chest. That's not an answer. It's the only one you're getting until I verify your vision. The car pulled into an underground garage beneath a glass skyscraper in Gangnam. Ji-hoon led her to a private elevator, keying in a code. The bodyguard stayed behind. As the elevator climbed, Grace studied him. Mid-30s, expensive suit drenched, and clinging to a fighter's frame. The dragon tattoo she'd seen in her vision curled up his neck, disappearing beneath his collar. How old are you? She asked. 34. I'm 47. Does that matter for whatever this is?
Age.
Ji-hoon's lips twitched.
No.
But survival instincts do. You're still standing, so you have some. The elevator opened onto a penthouse, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul's glittering sprawl, traditional Korean furniture mixed with modern art. Expensive. Sterile. Sit. Ji-hoon gestured to a low table. Tell me everything you saw. Grace remained standing. Tell me what the kiss was. A test. For what? Whether you'd survive it. He poured 2 glasses of soju, sliding one toward her. 300 years ago, my ancestor created a curse to consolidate power. Every woman who kisses a park heir loses 24 hours of life per kiss. Most die within days. You're still standing. Grace's stomach dropped. You poisoned me? The curse did. I just triggered it. He downed his drink. Now. The vision. Details. Why would I help you? Because I'm the only one who can keep you alive long enough to matter. Ji-hoon set down his glass. The rival clans know you touched the scroll. They'll hunt you. But if you're mine, under Park family protection, they'll hesitate. I'm not property. You are now. His voice went soft, dangerous. The kiss bound you. Every vision you have about me, I'll have about you. We're linked until one of us dies. Rain lashed the windows. Grace's hands trembled as she picked up the soju glass and drank. The alcohol burned, grounding her. The temple had red pillars. Candles everywhere, most blown out. You were kneeling, clutching your stomach. The tattoo was alive, moving under your skin. Black blood. Ji-hoon's expression went blank. Anything else? There was writing on the floor. In blood. I couldn't read it, but Grace closed her eyes, pulling the memory back. It looked like the script from the scroll. The inverted curse. Bloodline surrender. He turned away, jaw working. 3 days, you said? Yes. Then we have less time than I thought. Ji-hoon pulled out his phone, typing rapidly. You're staying here. My mother will want to meet you. Your mother? Head of the family, and the one who decides if you're useful enough to keep breathing. He headed for the door, then paused. Don't try to leave. The windows don't open, and the elevator requires my fingerprint. You're safer in this cage than anywhere else in Seoul. The door clicked shut. The lock engaged. Grace stood alone in the penthouse, rain drumming against glass, her reflection ghostly in the dark windows. She touched her lips, still swollen, still tasting copper. She'd come to Seoul to rebuild her life after a bitter divorce, to prove at 47 she could still matter in a field that worshipped youth. Now she was trapped in a fairy tale written in blood and ancient grudges. Her phone buzzed. Min-young. Are you alive? Grace typed back. Barely. And I think I just became part of a 300-year-old curse. 3 dots appeared. Then, the parks don't let anyone go. I'm sorry, Grace. Through the windows, Seoul glittered like scattered diamonds. Beautiful and cold and utterly indifferent to whether she lived or died. Grace walked to the table and poured another drink. 3 days until Ji-hoon died, unless she figured out how to break a curse that had survived centuries. The soju glass trembled in her hand as thunder rolled across the city, and somewhere in the darkness, she heard the echo of that kiss still burning against her mouth. Stockholm Syndrome isn't romance, you psychopath. Grace hurled the ceramic bowl across the penthouse. It shattered against the wall beside Ji-hoon's head, sending rice and soup cascading down expensive wallpaper. He didn't flinch, just set down the tray he'd brought, brushing a grain of rice from his shoulder. You need to eat. I need to leave. Grace stalked to the windows, her reflection furious in the glass. 48 hours locked in this gilded cage, and every minute felt like drowning. You can't keep me here. I can. I am. Ji-hoon crossed to the kitchen, returning with a towel to clean the mess. My mother arrives tonight. If you're weak when she meets you, she'll assume you're worthless. Good. Maybe she'll let me go. She'll kill you. He knelt, wiping soup from the floor with methodical precision. You've seen too much. Touched the family curse. The only reason you're breathing is because I convinced her your visions might be useful. Grace turned. Something in his voice, resignation, maybe exhaustion, made her pause. How long have you lived like this? Like what? Like a prisoner pretending to be a prince. Ji-hoon's hand stilled. For a moment, the mask cracked. She saw the boy beneath the killer, the one who'd learned to survive by becoming what his family needed. Then he stood, expression neutral again.
Eat.
Or don't. But when you collapse from hunger, I won't catch you. He left the tray on the table and disappeared into his study. Grace ate. Hated herself for it, but ate anyway. The meal was traditional, kimchi jjigae, perfectly seasoned banchan, rice still steaming. Someone had cooked this with care, and that somehow made everything worse. Easier to hate a monster than a man who ensured she was fed. After, she explored the penthouse's library. Shelves lined with Korean literature, art history texts, even a few English novels. Toni Morrison, Chinua Achebe. She pulled out things fall apart, surprised. My first love gave me that.
Grace spun.
Ji-hoon stood in the doorway, still in his dress shirt but tie loosened, sleeves rolled up. The dragon tattoo curved down his forearm, intricate scales catching the light. What happened to her? Grace asked. The curse. He moved to pour himself whiskey from a crystal decanter. I was 23. She was 25. We kissed once. She died 6 days later. Every kiss after the first accelerates the timeline. You loved her. I destroyed her.
He drank.
That's what the parks do. We consume everything beautiful. Grace replaced the book carefully. Why did you kiss me in that alley? If you knew what it would do. I needed to know if you were strong enough. Ji-hoon met her eyes. The curse only takes weak souls quickly. Those with resilience can survive longer. Sometimes weeks. How generous. It wasn't kindness, Ms. Adeyemi. It was calculation. But something flickered in his expression. Guilt, maybe. You're still here because you're stronger than most. And when I'm not useful anymore? He didn't answer. Just refilled his glass. That night, Grace couldn't sleep. The penthouse felt suffocating, all glass and steel and secrets. She wandered to the rooftop garden Ji-hoon had mentioned was accessible through a hidden door in the library. The space was unexpected. Traditional Korean landscaping, stone paths winding between manicured plants, a small pond with koi. Seoul's skyline glittered beyond the railings, but up here, she could almost breathe. Couldn't sleep either? Grace jumped. Ji-hoon sat on a stone bench near the pond, nearly invisible in the shadows. You scared me. That seems to be my specialty. He gestured to the space beside him.
Sit.
Or don't. But I promise not to kiss you again without warning. Grace hesitated, then sat, leaving a careful foot of space between them. This place doesn't match you. My grandmother designed it, before the curse consumed her too. Ji-hoon tossed a pebble into the pond, disturbing the koi. She said every monster needs a garden. Somewhere to remember they were human once. Are you still human? Some days I'm not sure. He glanced at her. You're different than I expected. What did you expect? A terrified victim?
Yes.
Most people break within hours. He studied her profile. You threw a bowl at my head instead. I've survived worse than you. Grace pulled her cardigan tighter against the night air. I was married for 20 years to a man who made me feel invisible. Came home one day to find him with his 28-year-old assistant. Spent a year in therapy learning I wasn't the problem. Then moved halfway across the world to prove I could still matter. She met his gaze. So no, you don't scare me. You're just another man who thinks he owns things he doesn't. Ji-hoon was quiet for a long moment. I'm sorry. For what he did. Don't be. I'm not. Grace surprised herself with the truth of it. That marriage was a cage I built myself. At least this one has better architecture. He laughed, short, unexpected. The sound transformed his face, made him look years younger. Is that what we're calling kidnapping now? Forced hospitality. With death threats. Every relationship has flaws. Grace smiled despite herself, then sobered. Teach me something. What? Korean curse words. If I'm dying anyway, I should at least be able to insult my captors properly. Ji-hoon's expression shifted, surprise melting into something warmer. You want to learn how to curse? I want to learn how to fight back in your language. All right. He shifted to face her fully. Sherbal means well, universal and satisfying. Grace repeated it, stumbling over the pronunciation. No, softer on the sure, harder on the ball. He demonstrated again. Grace tried. Better. Now try, Geiseki. Son of a bitch. They spent an hour like that, Jihoon teaching her increasingly creative insults while Grace's pronunciation improved. She learned that he'd studied art history in college before his father died and duty consumed everything. That he played piano but hadn't touched the keys in years. That he hated kimchi but ate it anyway because his grandmother's ghost would haunt him otherwise. If you'd risk death for love, Grace said suddenly, subscribe to staying alive. Tell me where you're really from. Jihoon blinked.
What?
Your earlier line. Sounded like bad marketing.
She grinned.
I'm calling you out. Fair. He leaned back, looking up at Seoul's hazy stars. I'm from here. Born in that hospital. He pointed to a building in the distance. Raised in this penthouse. Never left Korea except once, for my first love's funeral. She wanted to be buried in Paris. Did you go? My mother forbade it. Said it showed weakness.
His jaw tightened.
I went anyway. Spent 3 days at Père Lachaise, then came home to a beating that cracked 2 ribs. Grace's breath caught. Jihoon. I was 23. Old enough to know better. Young enough to think love mattered more than survival. He met her eyes. I haven't kissed anyone since. Until you. The air between them shifted, charged with something neither wanted to name. Why me? Grace whispered. Really? Because when you looked at me in that alley, covered in rain and blood, Jihoon reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. His fingers brushed her cheek. You weren't afraid. You were furious. And I thought, maybe someone that angry could survive what's coming. Thunder rumbled in the distance. Rain began to fall, light at first, then harder. They should have moved inside. Neither did. Have you ever felt this? Grace asked, voice barely audible over the downpour. Comment your experience. Where you're watching from. Grace. Because I have. She turned fully to face him. Sitting here with you. Knowing I should hate you. Knowing you're the reason I'm dying. And all I want is to understand why it feels like I've known you longer than 2 days. It's the curse. But Jihoon's voice lacked conviction. It creates false intimacy. Bonds the victim, too. Grace kissed him. Not desperate like the alley. Not violent. Just seeking. Trying to understand this impossible pull between them. Jihoon froze, then responded. One hand cupping her face, the other tangling in her hair. The kiss deepened, rain-soaked and electric, and Grace felt that same white flash building behind her eyes. She gasped, pulling back.
No.
Not again. I can't. Too late. The vision crashed over her like a wave. Not Jihoon dying this time. Her funeral. A simple casket, her daughter crying in the front row, and Jihoon standing alone in the back, alive but shattered, wearing the expression of a man who'd lost everything that mattered. Grace's heart stuttered, skipped 1 beat.
2.
Grace. Jihoon caught her as she collapsed, cradling her against his chest. Stay with me. Breathe. But she couldn't. Her chest felt locked, heart refusing to beat. The world tilted, graying at the edges. Jihoon laid her flat on the stone path, fingers finding her pulse point. No, no, no. He started compressions, counting in Korean. Grace floated somewhere above her body, watching him work. 47 seconds her heart refused to beat. She counted each one. Then Jihoon bent down, breathing air into her lungs, and her heart kicked back to life with a painful thud. She sucked in air, coughing. You're okay. You're alive. I've got you. Jihoon gathered her close, shaking. How long? What? In the vision. How long do you have? Grace buried her face in his shoulder, her tears mixing with rain.
Days.
Maybe 3. Every kiss accelerates it. Then we won't kiss again. Jihoon. I won't kill you. His voice broke. I won't be that person again. We'll find another way to break the curse. The rooftop door slammed open. A woman emerged, 50s, elegant in a black hanbok, her hair swept into a perfect chignon. 2 bodyguards flanked her. Mrs. Park, Jihoon's mother. How touching. Her voice dripped contempt. The air playing savior. She crossed to them, gaze raking over Grace. Is this the girl? The one with visions. Jihoon stood, placing himself between them. Mother. You're early. And your compromise. Mrs. Park gestured sharply. Take her to the ritual room. I'll need her heart by dawn. The bodyguards moved forward. Touch her, and I burn everything. Ji-hoon's voice went dead calm. The scroll, the ledgers, every piece of leverage the family has built. I'll torch it all. Mrs. Park's expression didn't change. You're bluffing. Try me. Mother and son locked eyes, a battle decades in the making. Finally, Mrs. Park smiled. She's already dying, Ji-hoon. 1 kiss per day, I'm told. Be practical. We need her heart to transfer the curse to the moon serpents, and she's served her purpose.
She saw my death.
3 days from now. Then we have time to use her and complete the transfer. Mrs. Park's tone suggested the discussion was over. Guards. Run. Ji-hoon whispered it, so softly Grace almost missed it. Then louder. East stairwell. Black car in sublevel 2. Keys under the mat. Come with me, Grace pleaded. I'll catch up. He was already moving, positioning himself to block the guards. Go. Grace ran. You carry death touch love.
Rare.
Foolish. Come. Grace looked up from the narrow bed, disoriented. The woman standing in the doorway of the hammock was ancient, spine curved, face mapped with wrinkles, but eyes sharp as broken glass. She wore traditional clothes and carried a walking stick that looked more weapon than aid. Who are you? Grace's voice rasped. She'd been hiding in Buckshin Village for 24 hours, growing weaker by the minute. The tiny rented room smelled of incense and old wood. Halmoni Kim. I find lost things. The old woman shuffled inside, setting down a cloth bundle. You reek of Park family curse. Eat this. Then we talk. Grace eyed the bundle warily. How did you find me? The curse leaves a trail, like blood in water. Halmoni unwrapped rice cakes and herbal tea.
Eat, child.
You're fading. Grace's stomach clenched with hunger. She took the food, devouring it while Halmoni watched with something like pity. Better. Now tell me, you love the Park boy. I barely know him. That's not what I ask. Halmoni poured tea with steady hands. The curse doesn't bind strangers. Only those who could love despite knowing they shouldn't. Grace set down the rice cake. It's been 3 days. You can't love someone in 3 days. Time is a lie we tell ourselves to feel safe. The old woman sipped her tea. I loved my husband the moment he called me foolish for climbing a tree in my wedding hanbok. Married 53 years before he died. Still foolish. Despite everything, Grace almost smiled. What do you know about the curse? More than the Parks want anyone to know. Halmoni leaned forward, voice dropping. 300 years ago, Park Sung-jin didn't receive a curse. He created it, bargained with a vengeful spirit to gain power, agreed to sacrifice love itself. Every generation since, one heir can break it through genuine sacrifice. But the family profits too much to allow it. What kind of sacrifice? True love willing to die. Bloodline heir willing to forgive. Ritual witnessed by full moon. Halmoni's eyes glittered. And the courage to choose mercy over revenge. Grace's heart hammered. How do you know this? My grandmother was Park Sung-jin's mistress. The one he cursed first. Halmoni smiled grimly. We've been tracking the family ever since. Waiting for an heir brave enough, or broken enough, to end it. Ji-hoon. Grace stood too quickly, swaying. He's going to die in 2 days. I saw it. Then you already know what you must do. Return to him, and accept you might die doing it. Halmoni pulled something from her sleeve, a small jade pendant. Wear this during the ritual. It won't save you, but it will let you choose the moment. Some control is better than none. Grace took the pendant, its weight surprising. Why help me? Because I'm tired of watching young people die for old men's mistakes. Halmoni stood, joints cracking. And because the Park boy looked at you the way my husband looked at me, like you were the only real thing in a world of ghosts. Grace spent the day preparing. Halmoni taught her the counter-ritual, words in archaic Korean that felt like swallowing stones. The old woman explained that the curse could transfer between willing participants, but only if both accepted death as possibility. The Park family temple, Grace said. That's where Ji-hoon dies in my vision. The temple was older than she'd expected, Traditional architecture, red pillars supporting curved eaves, stone guardians flanking the entrance. Candlelight flickered through paper windows. Grace pushed open the heavy doors. The interior was exactly like her vision. Candles everywhere, most already guttering. Red pillars. Stone altar in the center. And Ji-hoon, shirtless, chained to the altar by wrists and ankles, dragon tattoo glowing faintly gold against his skin. Grace, no. His voice cracked. Why did you come back? Because I'm apparently as foolish as you are. She moved toward him, scanning for Mrs. Park. Behind you. Grace spun. Mrs. Park emerged from the shadows with two guards, holding a ceremonial dagger that looked sharp enough to split atoms. Predictable. The older woman smiled. Love makes everyone predictable. Let him go. After the ritual, Mrs. Park gestured, and the guards seized Grace, forcing her to her knees beside the altar. Here's what happens next. I cut your heart from your chest. Use your blood and Ji-hoon's to transfer the curse to our enemies. The Park family continues its reign, and you both get to die together. Romantic, really. There's another way. Grace's voice stayed steady despite her racing pulse. The counter-ritual. Transfer the curse to me completely, then break it with sacrifice.
Mrs. Park laughed.
You think I don't know about that fairy tale? It requires the heir to choose love over power. My son is too well trained. You're wrong about him. Am I? Mrs. Park traced the dagger along Ji-hoon's jaw, drawing a thin line of blood. He's been taught since birth that family is everything. Love is weakness. He won't sacrifice the legacy for you. Maybe I will anyway. Ji-hoon's eyes locked on Grace. Maybe I'm tired of being what you made me. His mother's expression went cold. Then you'll die with her. I've been dying for years. Ji-hoon strained against his chains. At least this way means something. Mrs. Park raised the dagger. Sentimental fool. Just like your father. Grace lunged, using the guard's surprise to twist free. She grabbed one of the ceremonial candles and hurled it at Mrs. Park, who dodged, but the flame caught the hem of her hanbok. Chaos erupted. Guards rushed forward. Ji-hoon kicked out, catching one in the knee. Grace scrambled onto the altar, pressing her lips to Ji-hoon's before anyone could stop her. What are you doing? He gasped against her mouth. Choosing. Grace pulled the jade pendant over her head, pressing it into his chained hand. Trust me. She kissed him again. Deep, intentional. Felt the curse surge between them like electricity, seeking anchor. She grabbed it with pure will, yanking it from Ji-hoon into herself. The dragon tattoo peeled off his skin and slammed into hers, black and gold spreading across her brown skin in intricate patterns. Grace screamed as it burned, but didn't let go. No. Mrs. Park lunged forward, dagger raised. Ji-hoon broke his chains. Grace hadn't realized they were already weakened, and caught his mother's wrist. Enough. The tattoo finished its migration. Grace collapsed against Ji-hoon, gasping. Every nerve felt flayed. You transferred it. Ji-hoon cradled her face. Why? True love's sacrifice. I read the fine print. Grace smiled weakly. Now you have to finish the ritual.
How?
Forgive her. Grace nodded at Mrs. Park, who stared at the scene with something like horror. Bloodline heir must forgive what hurt him most. I can't. Yes, you can. Grace squeezed his hand. Because hate is what feeds this curse. Mercy starves it. Ji-hoon looked at his mother. The woman who'd beaten him, controlled him, turned him into a weapon. Decades of rage lived in his expression. Then he breathed out slowly. I forgive you. The words felt inadequate. Small. But the temple shuddered. For making me believe I was only worth what I could kill. Ji-hoon stood, still holding Grace. For teaching me love was weakness. For turning me into you. The tattoo on Grace's skin began to writhe, seeking escape. Mrs. Park dropped the dagger. What have you done? What I should have done years ago. Ji-hoon turned his back on her. Let go. The curse exploded outward, black smoke and gold light, rushing through the temple like a shockwave. Grace's heart stopped. Not skipped.
Stopped.
Ji-hoon caught her as she fell, laying her flat on the stone floor.
No.
Grace, stay with me. Live. He started compressions. Mrs. Park and her guards fled, but Ji-hoon barely noticed. Counted in Korean, breathed air into Grace's lungs, counted again. 1 minute.
2.
Grace floated in that space between, watching Jihoon work. She could choose, stay here, let the curse take her, or fight back to the pain and mess of living. She chose pain. Her heart kicked.
Once. Twice.
Regular rhythm returning. Jihoon sobbed. The first time she'd heard him make that sound. You're alive. You're here. Told you. Grace's voice was barely audible. Foolish. The temple doors slammed open. Not Mrs. Park returning, someone else. A man in his early 30s, wearing expensive clothes and carrying a gun. Jihoon twisted, shielding Grace. Min-seo. His brother. Grace had seen photos in the penthouse. Mother called. Min-seo's voice was eerily calm. Said you'd broken the family curse. Can't allow that. It's done. The curse is gone.
No.
Min-seo raised the gun. The curse is mine now. And you both need to die so I can claim it properly. He fired. The bullet caught Jihoon in the shoulder, spinning him back. He crashed into Grace, blood already spreading across his shirt. Run, he gasped. But Grace saw the tattoo reforming, not on her skin anymore, on Min-seo's. The curse hadn't died. It had found a new host, one who wanted its power. Min-seo smiled, touching the emerging dragon on his neck. This is what true power feels like. Then he lit a match and dropped it. The spilled candles caught immediately, flames racing across the temple floor. Enjoy burning. Min-seo walked out, leaving them trapped. Grace hauled Jihoon up, ignoring his protests. Smoke filled the temple, heat blistering. They stumbled toward a side exit, Jihoon leaving a blood trail, Grace's curse-marked skin aching with every movement. They burst into cold mountain air, collapsing on stone steps. Behind them, the temple became an inferno. Jihoon pressed his hand to his bleeding shoulder. My brother just tried to kill us. Your family has issues. Grace's laugh was slightly hysterical, and the curse transferred to him. We didn't break it, just moved it. Grace looked at the tattoo remnants still visible on her skin, fainter now, but present. We failed.
No.
Jihoon pulled her close despite his wound.
We survived.
That counts for something. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. The dragon lives. And tonight, everyone burns. Min-seo's voice crackled through the phone's speaker, tinny but triumphant. Grace held Jihoon's phone, standing on the rooftop of park headquarters while Seoul glittered below, half the city ablaze from strategic fires Min-seo had ordered. Where are you? Jihoon demanded, pressing gauze to his shoulder wound. 3 days since the temple. His brother had spent them dismantling everything, everywhere. The curse gives me eyes in every shadow. Min-seo laughed. Come to the rooftop. Both of you. Or I burn the Gangnam Financial District next. Thousands die. The line went dead. Grace lowered the phone. It's a trap. Obviously. Jihoon checked his gun, the one weapon Mrs. Park's fleeing guards had left behind. But he'll do it. Min-seo always followed through on threats. Then we end this tonight. Grace touched the faint tattoo marks still visible on her arms. Since the temple, she'd discovered residual abilities, flashes of vision, heightened awareness. The curse hadn't fully released her. Halmoni said the ritual needs a full moon. It's full tonight. Jihoon moved to the rooftop edge, scanning for movement. If we're doing this, we need a plan better than show up and hope. Grace pulled out her phone, opening a live stream app. What if the whole world watches? The curse thrives on secrecy. Exposure might weaken it, or make Min-seo kill us faster. Probably both. She smiled grimly. But at least we'll take the Park Syndicate down with us. Every crime, every murder, all broadcast live. Jihoon studied her. You've changed. 3 days ago you were an art restorer. 3 days ago I hadn't died twice and fallen for a MAFIA heir. Grace pocketed her phone. People adapt. The rooftop door exploded inward. Min-seo emerged, flanked by 30 armed men. Every loyal soldier from the park organization. The dragon tattoo covered half his face now, pulsing with sickly light. Big brother. Min-seo spread his arms. And the Nigerian woman who ruined everything. How romantic. The curse is destroying you. Ji-hoon kept his gun lowered but ready. Look at yourself. That's not power, it's possession. It's evolution. Min-seo touched his tattoo, almost lovingly. Mother was weak. You were weaker. But I'll use this gift properly. Build an empire that spans continents. By burning soul? Grace stepped forward, drawing attention. Her phone was live-streaming from her jacket pocket. That's not empire building. That's tantrum throwing. Min-seo's eyes narrowed. You should be dead. The curse takes weak women within days. Maybe I'm stronger than you thought. Grace held his gaze. Or maybe love actually does break curses and you're too broken to understand that. Love. Min-seo spat the word. The lie that killed father. That weakened Ji-hoon. I won't make that mistake. You already have. Ji-hoon shifted slightly, positioning himself between Grace and the guards. You loved mother's approval. Craved it your whole life. That hunger is what made you weak enough for the curse to fully claim you. Shut up. Min-seo raised his hand. The guards leveled weapons. Shoot us, and the whole world sees. Grace pulled out her phone, showing the live stream counter, 47,000 viewers and climbing. Every crime, every murder. I've already uploaded the family's financial records to cloud servers. Kill us, and it all goes public. Min-seo's expression flickered, rage warring with calculation. You're bluffing. Try me. Grace's hand didn't shake. I've already died twice this week. What's once more? She's not bluffing. A new voice, elderly, firm. Halmoni Kim emerged from behind the rooftop's utility shed, leaning on her walking stick. And neither am I, young Park. Min-seo whirled. Who? Someone who's been waiting 300 years for this moment. Halmoni moved slowly but purposefully toward the center of the rooftop. Your ancestor cursed my grandmother. Condemned generations to suffering. Tonight, that ends. One old woman against 30 guns. Min-seo sneered. I'll start with you. He gestured. 3 guards aimed at Halmoni. Grace's vision flashed white. Saw them firing, saw Halmoni fall. No! She lunged, tackling Halmoni as bullets shredded the air where the old woman had stood. They rolled behind an air conditioning unit. Ji-hoon returned fire, dropping 2 guards. The rooftop erupted into chaos. Gunfire, shouting, smoke. Foolish child. Halmoni pushed Grace away gently, but brave. Now listen, the final ritual needs 3 things. True love's sacrifice, bloodline heir's forgiveness, full moon witness. Grace checked. Halmoni was unharmed. We tried that. You did it wrong. The sacrifice can't be passive, dying for love. Halmoni pressed something into Grace's palm. Another jade pendant, twin to the first. It must be active, choosing love despite death. And the heir must forgive not his abuser, but himself. Grace's breath caught. Ji-hoon has to forgive himself. For everyone he's killed, everyone he's hurt, every piece of himself he destroyed trying to survive. Halmoni's eyes were wet. That's the real bloodline surrender, releasing the hate he carries for what he became. Bullets pinged off metal. Ji-hoon had taken cover behind a ventilation shaft, systematically taking down guards. But Min-seo was advancing, tattoo glowing brighter, seeming to absorb the violence. How do I make him understand? Grace asked. You can't. He has to choose it. Halmoni squeezed her hand. But you can show him it's possible. That's what love does. It makes the impossible seem survivable. Grace looked at Ji-hoon, bleeding, exhausted, still fighting despite knowing he might die. She thought about her ex-husband, the years she'd spent hating herself for not being enough. The bitter freedom of finally letting that go. I love you, she shouted across the rooftop. Ji-hoon's head snapped toward her. What? I love you, Park Ji-hoon. And I forgive you for kidnapping me, for the curse, for being a criminal. Grace stood, bullets whizzing past. Her voice carried across the chaos. And I forgive myself for being stupid enough to love you anyway. The live stream counter hit 200,000 viewers. Min-seo snarled. How touching. Kill them both. But Ji-hoon was staring at Grace like she'd handed him the sun. You forgive yourself? Every day I have to. Grace moved toward him, dodging gunfire with vision-aided reflexes. That's what love is. Choosing to try again despite every reason not to. She reached him, pressing the jade pendant into his hand. Your turn. I've killed people, Grace. Dozens. Some deserved it. Some were just. His voice broke. I can't forgive that. Not asking you to forget. Asking you to stop letting it define you. Grace cupped his face. Forgive the boy who had no choice. Forgive the man who's trying to change. Forgive yourself for being human. Ji-hoon's eyes searched hers. Around them, the gunfire had paused, Min-seo's guards watching this bizarre confrontation uncertain. I forgive myself, Ji-hoon whispered. Nothing happened. Say it like you mean it. Grace pressed her forehead to his. Say it for every scar, every nightmare, every piece of yourself you thought was broken. I forgive myself for surviving when others didn't. Ji-hoon's voice grew stronger. For becoming a killer to stay alive. For being my mother's son. For he choked. For thinking I didn't deserve anything better. The moon broke through Seoul's smog, full and silver. Grace kissed him. Not desperate. Not fearful. Just certain this was exactly where she was meant to be, whatever came next. The curse detonated. Both their tattoos, Ji-hoon's faded marks, Grace's newer ones, exploded into black smoke and gold butterflies. The insects swarmed upward, thousands of them, carrying fragments of 300-year-old hate into the night sky. Min-seo screamed. His tattoo tried to hold on, but the butterflies descended on him, stripping the curse away piece by piece.
No.
It's mine. He clawed at his face, but the dragon was disintegrating. Mrs. Park's voice cut through the chaos. Min-seo, stop. She stood in the rooftop doorway, no longer pristine, clothes torn, face bruised. Grace realized with shock that she'd been fighting her way here. Mother? Min-seo turned, confused. The curse was half gone, leaving him looking young and lost. I was wrong. Mrs. Park's voice cracked. About everything. The curse, the family, what matters. Let it go, my son. Please. But you said. I said many things. Most were lies I told myself to justify continuing this nightmare. She moved toward him slowly. I'm sorry. For all of it. Min-seo collapsed to his knees as the last of the curse evaporated. He looked like a child, 30 years old, but stripped of everything that had made him dangerous. The butterflies dissipated into Seoul's night air, carrying the curse to nowhere. Grace's legs gave out. Ji-hoon caught her, lowering them both to the rooftop as sirens wailed below. Police, fire trucks, ambulances converging on the burning city. Did we? Grace couldn't finish. It's gone. Ji-hoon held her close, his own hands shaking. I can feel it. The weight. It's gone. Halmoni approached, leaning heavily on her walking stick. Well done, foolish children. Though you took long enough. Is it really over? Grace asked. The curse?
Yes.
The consequences? Just beginning. Halmoni gestured to the live stream still running. 347,000 viewers watched you dismantle Korea's most powerful crime family. Police will be here in minutes. Good. Ji-hoon didn't move from Grace's side. I'm tired of running. Mrs. Park surrendered to the first officers who arrived, Min-seo following mutely. The guards scattered. Without the curse's binding power, loyalty evaporated. Grace and Ji-hoon stayed on that rooftop, wrapped in emergency blankets, giving statements until dawn painted Seoul's scarred skyline pink. 6 months later, Grace stood in her new gallery in Jeju Island. The space was small but hers, walls covered with art from emerging Korean and Nigerian artists. Through the window, she could see the ocean. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. The Dragon Levs. Mother's in prison.
Min-seo, too.
But I'm out on bail. We need to talk about what you and Ji-hoon started. Not all the family was cursed. Some of us want answers. Park Eun-ji, your niece-in-law, apparently. Grace smiled, typing back. Coffee? I know a place. The gallery door chimed. Ji-hoon entered carrying tools. He'd been installing shelves all morning. 6 months of carpenter work had changed him. Calloused hands, sun-darkened skin, easier smile. New family drama? he asked, reading her expression. Your niece wants to meet. Eunji's always been the smart one. Stayed out of the business. He set down his tools. You okay with this? More parks in your life. Well, I already committed to one. Grace pulled him close. Besides, someone has to teach them that curses end when you choose something better. Ji-hoon kissed her, soft, unhurried. No visions. No death. Just them. Outside, waves crashed against Jeju's volcanic rocks. Inside, Grace's phone lit up with orders for her gallery's opening show. On the wall, a painting she'd commissioned, black butterflies rising from a Seoul rooftop, carrying light into darkness. Some curses take generations to break, but love